What's up, guys? It's your boy Reform Stoic here, back again for another video. So, I'm gonna go ahead and do a video response to the Punk Rock MBA. Why is emo popular again? This is why it died, in parentheses. So, right out the gate, what I want to address is he said that, no, did anybody ever really do it better than My Chemical Romance, Paramore, Fall Out Boy, and Panic at the Disco? Bro, way to make it obvious that you never really were deep in the genre. Anybody who was ever a true blue emo kid, man, I'm not even gonna pull up a list and try super hard to make a big point, but I do think I will either link you guys to some sort of a text or something where I just have a list of all my favorite emo bands on it. But I don't know, dude. Finch from First to Last, Taking Back Sunday, The Used, Census Fail. I'm not even trying, man. Motion City Soundtrack. I wasn't a huge fan of them. I did see them live with the Epitaph tour, and their equipment was shot, so they played acoustic. It was great. I got to meet the band. I was so young when I saw them. I was in 8th grade. Actually, they were talking to my dad. My dad was like, "Oh, I really appreciate you guys playing anyway." And it was so funny. I'm just some little kid who's just some little fanboy, and watching my dad kind of boomer out with Motion City Soundtrack was pretty funny. But anyway, I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but come on, bro. I know you have this huge larger than life channel. Out of the bands on that list, Paramore. Paramore's legit. I've been meaning to listen to Paramore on a more album by album basis. I knew the singles. I love that song. That's what you get when you let your heart win. I made a Dragon Ball Z compilation to it. It's one of the first videos on my channel. Check it out if you're interested. So, why are Zoomers getting into emo? I don't think it's some big mystery. He talked about the death of the monoculture. I definitely think that's a part of it. Now, I'd say the monoculture would be the kind of people that are always going to listen to what's on MTV, what's on VH1, what's on the radio. Super indie kids, they've always kind of rebelled. There's all kinds of people out there who have rebelled against what's mainstream and what's on the radio. And that's always going to exist. Now, what I pointed out in a recent community post on mine, I can go ahead and get this video in the mix. Rick Beato just released the top 10 songs on the radio are shit. Or the top 10 songs right now are shit. And what we might be seeing is that the monoculture, the pop music, is not going to be as all-encompassing or not as inclusive. The right words are kind of fleeing me. It's just not going to be as big. Not as many people are going to be involved in pop music anymore. Just like not as many people are involved in the Oscars, or what you'll see following is the Grammys. So yeah, you're still going to be the top charts. You're still going to be the biggest movies, but how many people are watching the biggest movies? How many people are listening to the most popular music, which will still be the most popular? It's not going to be as much, and I can just tell you right out the gate, because I've already made a 40-minute emo nostalgia rant that kind of evolved into ranting on my personal life. I'll try to make this way less personal. This pop music today, Drake, and honestly, honestly, Drake is exceptionally talented compared to the other things that are coming out. And I'm not gonna flare particular artists, but this kind of club mumble rap, pop fused mumble rap, auto-tune pop, dance pop that's coming out, it is not inclusive. It's, if you're not a bad bitch with a banging body who's got tens of thousands of subs on Instagram and is thinking about coming out with an OnlyFans that would make a lot of money, you ain't shit. That's what this music is saying. If you ain't a bad dude who's big and tall and is moving weight, moving grams, can beat people up, and's got money in the club, and's got bitches, you ain't shit. That is what this music is saying. That is the message of modern popular music. Every time I'm going on Instagram, which I basically shouldn't do anymore, all these girls that I followed, because they're hot, they're in their stories, taking some selfie, and then it's one of these pop songs that Rick Beato is talking about how shitty it is. Like, Instagram women, for lack of a more appropriate term off the top of my head, are like a never-ending advertisement for pop music. And they're the monoculture, the kind of people who aimlessly follow the monoculture now are just going to be like the pretty popular people. Now, was that more or less always what pop music was? Sure. But the thing about 2000s emo is that music, even in its most popular forms like Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance, that was music for the underdog. And I will say, you know, for me with My Chemical Romance, I liked I'm Not Okay. I liked Helena. I never got like crazy about the band by the time the Black Parade came out, but I bobbed my head to it, and I watched the music video when it was on Fuse or MTV. I don't have like harsh things to say about My Chemical Romance or Fall Out Boy. I definitely say that Paramore is my favorite band on the list, and Panic at the Disco, their first couple of singles, genuinely like were on my playlist and still are on my emo playlist to this day. That music was for the underdog, man. And I'm always talking about how, like, television, teen shows, teen comedies, teen dramas, Not Another Teen Movie, you know, the kind of stereotypes that movie is touching on. The main character is not a football quarterback. The main character is not Studley Wrestly Chad. I don't want to trigger the FBI. We're going to be coming up with some new terms here soon, guys. We gotta get off of these watch lists that we're on. Anyway, I digress. The main character of the 90s, 2000s teen scene was not a perfect looking football star, okay? And, you know, ultimately, like, the actors in this world, oh, I'm so sad and I'm so ugly, they're usually pretty looking guys, ultimately. Like, you know, like maybe a short, skinny guy, or like a tall, skinny guy with a pretty face and a pretty haircut. But I digress. The emo music reflected that stereotype, okay? The main character is not the big, badass redneck dude listening to Pantera. It's not the big football star who was listening to like T.I. or DMX or maybe like the Casualties, or I don't know, probably not the Casualties. I'm just saying, it's centered around this emotional kind of shy guy who eventually the cheerleader comes around, she dumps her football boyfriend and realizes she wants to be with this more sensitive, deep guy, okay? And emo music reflected that. The main character was someone with emotions, it was someone who was deep, it's someone who wasn't an asshole, and that is kind of what all this music, the Taking Back Sundays, and even the Blink-182s, you know, by the self-titled album, especially when you're looking at Boxcar Racer, I definitely think Blink-182 was like a part of this kind of like emo scene. You know, Tom DeLonge directed a video for Taking Back Sunday. I believe it was the name of that song. I just wanna break you down so badly. Whatever that song was called, dude. So they were a part of it, man, and it's like, it was inviting, it was friendly, it was like, hey man, you're the guy who gets bullied in school, well, this song's about you, so even if you are like a good-looking, popular person who wants to go see My Chemical Romance, everybody's welcome, dude. Everybody's invited. Everybody's a part of it. It was welcoming. It was a warm hug. It broke down barriers. It broke down boundaries. It was for everybody, man. And now, fast forward to hoobada 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 ga. I got the Glocks and I got the blah. I get the stuff and I get the stuff, or like the auto tune, like whatever, like pop, Cardi B. This is popular, big, tall, curvy, pretty, perfect. What are the songs about? Going to the club, dropping racks at the club, being with the baddest bitches. So if you ain't the baddest bitches and you're not the guy getting the baddest bitches, this music is not for you. And it's making it very clear. You are not welcome if you are not a good-looking guy. You are not welcome if you're not tough. You are not welcome if you're not pretty. Even though, like, with the modern, body shaming and stuff, they maybe try a little bit to make heavier set women feel better about themselves. But ladies of the world who aren't like a pinup model, you know that's bullshit, don't you? Like, how many of these, how's Cardi B looking? How's Nicki Minaj looking? How are all these pop singer chicks looking? They'll get a couple of plus size models through the gate, but it ain't really happening that way, is it? No, it's always the girls who look like they're gonna have an OnlyFans someday. It's always the guys who are like either covered in tattoos or they got this like certain swagger. It's a popularity contest. Emo was for everybody. This Finn McKenty guy, no offense, dude, you're wearing an Amur t-shirt. You're wearing an Amur long sleeve in your video. Like, oh yeah, like, let's be honest, nobody really did it better than Paramore, My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco. I mean, yeah, dude, if you have absolutely no idea about what was going on in the genre and you were never really a part of it, I mean, man, I'm gonna create like a list of bands. Check out like Spitalfield, Circa Survive, Saosin. Man, there were so many great bands in that genre, and I just didn't even know where to begin. So I'm gonna create some sort of like a little text link to my huge list of bands for you to check out. I'll get some of the 90s bands in there too, but I'll try to make it more like pure 2000s bands. Because these Zoomers apparently are starting to revive this kind of music. I've definitely caught on to all these like chicks who are all crazy about Deftones. And I want to help them branch out. A lot of you are like, yeah, you like Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance, but you're probably looking to branch out, right? You want to see more about what was going on. Well, I don't know if anybody cares. I kind of get the idea that Zoomers hate me because I don't have a broccoli top and I'm kind of a rough-looking dude, but that was my time, boys and girls. Like, let Grandpa Stoic sit down and tell you a little bit about the glory days of emo. It was great. People were nice to each other. If you had, like, long hair, even if you were balding, if you had, like, grown out hair and you wore chains on your jeans and you wore, like, elemental skater clothes, you could get a girlfriend. It was awesome. Women liked you for being in a band. Rap had its place, and it was respected, and it was on the charts, but it didn't push everything out. Okay? People still, like, went out and did shit. They didn't have, like... And then now I'm just starting to sound like a boomer. Oh, you dang all the kids. You got your MySpace and your TikTok. Yeah, we didn't have any of that shit, dude. And we still went outside, and average guys still had girlfriends. And, like, the FBI wasn't, like, trying to, like, throw you in prison for using lingo that pretty much everybody's starting to use. It was great, dude. And, yeah, so, hang out with Grandpa Stoic, and I'll tell you a little bit about what was going on, aside from the absolute most basic stuff that everybody knew about, because I'm not really wearing an Amur long sleeve t-shirt, am I? So the last thing that I wanted to address is he was talking about how, like, Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and AC/DC, those bands always got respect in the 90s, but somehow people were still paying attention to what was going on. And same thing with the 2000s, you had kids who were like all about the Doors and Led Zeppelin and Queen, but the music of the time was still being paid attention to, and it was still like getting its proper clout and, kind of like looking more like a meritocracy than things do now. Well, I don't want to just say that's because the music was still good, okay? That's the boomer stereotype. But I will say it's because things that were never being done before were being done. So in my opinion, and I'm not going to say the rock bands that are coming out today aren't good. This like Royal Blood, I'm personally not crazy about it. Like the modern rock bands, it definitely has its place. They're doing some cool things. It kind of just sounds like stuff that was already happening in 2005. I think about like the band, like I think it was called The Rapture. Take me out, take me out, Interpol, slow hands. I think about these like indie kind of like weird rock bands, The Killers. It kind of just sounds like a more finely like mixed and mastered, more produced version of stuff that was already happening in the early 2000s. So I'm not just going to say that music was still good in the 2000s. It was still fresh. It was still new. It was still covering new territory. And yeah, like people were saying, oh, The Killers kind of sounds retro, meaning it already happened. Well, now they're making like retro versions of something that was retro. And I think that culture is kind of just stopping. You're either going to follow this like weird popularity, completely materialistic death cult, monoculture, which gets smaller every day. It's because like, hey, you know what? I'm not over 6 feet tall. Hey, you know what? I don't really have a bunch of money, and I'm not really throwing racks in the club. I'm actually in my apartment by myself, rotting away because I'm not cool enough for anybody anymore. What do I want to listen to? Oh, I know. The Black Parade, My Chemical Romance, because that like hits me in the feels. That's what I can relate to because I'm the underdog. And I feel like this monoculture has completely forgotten about the underdog. The stereotype these days is that women don't want the underdog. Let's be real, men don't want the underdog girl. Everybody's got to be either a Cardi B or The Game or whatever pretty boy, like tall, big, whatever kind of rappers are like popular anymore, dude. It's not welcoming. It's not a warm hug. I've already had the big rant about how looking up at like me and my friends laying in the road, being weird emo kids. This is so random, laying in the street, looking at the sky, blue skies, warm weather. What were we listening to? Go on, just say it. I need you like a bad habit. One that leaves you defenseless, dependent, and alone. 180 by Summer from Taking Back Sunday. Anybody? Thursday? Like, bro, it's a time that, I'm sorry, Zoomers, you're trying to understand, and I respect you for that, okay? Like, there was something going on that was maybe, like, one of the last genuine things, okay? One of the last genuine, full-of-life things. I can't shut up about the production, because the production back then, you kind of heard the drums, okay? And the drummers were really tight. These bands tended to have a lot of really tight, pretty skilled drummers, and you heard those Orange County custom drums. You heard those Truth custom drums. You heard those, like, Maple custom drum kits, and you looked at them, and they were, like, sexy, and they had, like, gold sparkle finish with, like, blue lugs and the powder-coated lugs and, like, the cool designs all over the drum kits, and they sounded awesome. And, yeah, you know, people who know a lot about production, it's like, it honestly didn't even really kind of matter what kind of drum set you had. It's more about the head selection and the tuning and the microphones. But you heard those vented snare drums, dude. You heard the production for it was. Before everything went fully digital, before everything was quantized and sound replaced, it was good music, man. It was a real scene, and I support these Zoomer kids doing this. I support you guys branching out, even if it's just Paramore and My Chemical Romance. You know, I would just lightly press you to, like, hey, you know, check out some of the other bands that were going on and maybe dig a little bit deeper and, like, revive this stuff, man, because it was good stuff. Maybe one of these 21-year-old Zoomer girls will think I'm cool. That sounded creepy. Maybe, like, a 25-year-old Zoomer chick will think I'm cool, and, like, I could finally get married someday, bro. Because, like, the monoculture, the pop music, I'm not just going to say it's trash, but it's not for you, girl who isn't a supermodel. It's not for you, guy who isn't a big, tall gangster. It's for the really cool people who go to the clubs. And from what I hear, the clubs are more empty every single day, bro. It's for human beings who feel things and are real and, like, live a real life outside of magazines and television. So that's what I got to say about this. I hope you guys enjoyed this rant. Finn McKenty, Punk Rock MBA, no disrespect, dude, to you and your long sleeve Imure t-shirt, but you know what? maybe I feel like I had a little bit more to say about this than you did. So God bless, my friends. Have a good one.